My name is Adam Mesh, and I am honored to be here with Scott Redler. Um, I gotta be honest, like, as a competitor and someone who's been trading for a long time, kind of just like to think that, you're in a class by yourself. Like, I'm just competitive, but Scott's someone that I've always respected and rooted for and considered worthy of his standing and his notoriety because of his work ethic, his consistency, and the way he's traded. So the ability to do collaboration with him is great, and I'm a really big fan. And most importantly, for your purposes as individual traders, I like his trades. And I think that's important because only like the wild ones, and that's all of us on here, trade for ourselves and trade our own money. The majority of people are going to take your money and you're going to give it to someone and you're not going to look at it and you're going to hope it does well. So you're here because you like to take control into your own hands. And Scott plays in that world and he plays really well. So to be able to look at his work while you're doing what you do, get his ideas, get his methodologies, just helps people make a better trader. And I've seen it, and we've done things together for probably over 10 years now. Our paths always cross. It's a great relationship. We even crossed paths in Miami. So it's great to be here with him, and it's going to be a solid presentation. You've been a part of T3, helped co-found it since the beginning, done such a great job making it one of the premier trading companies. You are obviously the chief strategic officer there. You are on TV a lot, very well spoken on TV, camera friendly, hit all the networks, right?
By the way, do you know how I learned how to get on TV and be comfortable?
How?
Yeah. Fun fact. Okay, fun fact. I grew up on Long Island. I was an MC at bar mitzvahs when I was a junior and senior. I've done 1,000 bar mitzvahs. With
which company?
EJM.
Oh, wow.
Evan J. Maribel, EJM, the life of the party, for the party of your life. Well, that was me. So anyway, just so for those of you who are younger, just realize that everything you do in life leads you to where you're supposed to be. So by growing up in a family in Syosset where my parents were the bottom of the Woodbury Syosset area, I had to work for, my money versus ask mommy and daddy for it, which helped me with my work ethic also. So if you feel like you don't get anything handed to you, I'll tell you down the road, it's going to make you into a better person. So with that said, I also was the glamour boy number 2. So I did all the Sweet 16s, all over Long Island. But what that also did is it set me up for college. I went to SUNY Albany, and I used to go home twice a month and MC weddings and bar mitzvahs. And that's why I have no student debt and went to SUNY Albany and met also Mark Sperling, who was also in the trading world. So everything always kind of comes together. So if it hasn't all come together for you, it'll come together for you in trading and in life at some particular point. But I remember the first time I was on CNBC with Mark Haynes, and I told him that the market was going to fall 10%, and he laughed at me. I didn't flinch because I'm used to that kind of stuff. And we fell 10%, and then I don't think there's been 1 month I haven't been on TV since, and that was back in 2007. And I've never paid for a publicist.
We're going to talk about your 5 pillars for winning options, but I do think it's important, though, and the reason why we take the time to have a conversation is because you want to know who's talking to you. Like, anything in life, if you're relying on someone for education, guidance, strategies, you got to believe in them, because if you don't, then as soon as you start to falter, you throw everything out. Like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. It's his fault, and you quit. Versus if you really believe in who you're working with, then when you falter, you're going to stay resolved and you're going to come out the other side and be successful. So it is important that it's not just some people that you've never heard from coming on and talking, that you feel comfortable with who we are, what we're about, how we speak, what our values are, and that leads into trading. And I think, no matter who you are, no trade is ever smooth, right?
Right.
So to have resolve and confidence even when stuff goes against you, is essential to success. So that's why we spend some time talking and have a candid conversation, because it's important you feel comfortable with who we are.
Yeah, and then we're going to go to so I'm going to say one more thing on that. The other day on the VTF, there was someone who has only been there for like 3 months, and he was down a bunch of money because he doesn't know the process and the system. And and there were people who were like on the VTF who've been in the alpha team for like years, and they're like, just give it time. The first few months, you don't just copy trades, you don't just do this, you don't just do that. And there are guys who make a living or at the highs of their year, and this guy was not doing well because maybe he was getting in trades late, he had too much size, and he if there were 7 trades, he picked the 2 ones that weren't as good as the other 5. And those who stay the course and work through it, chances are they get the consistent money, versus trying to just copy a few things. You're not going to have a living as a trader by just copying a few things. It's understanding why and how and doing it consistently and going back to it. But like Adam said, you have to know who you're spending your weeks and days with and who you're listening to. So that's why we talk a little bit about our lives, and this is real stuff. We're not making any of this up. This is experience, and these are facts. So now if you want to get into the X's and O's, let's get into the X's and O's. Here we go. Oops, I just lost.
So here we go. This is the 5 pillars for winning option strategies. This is what you use, your formula for success. Let's take us through it with rule number 1.
Okay, rule number 1 is I don't hold usually stocks into binary events. I like my risk defined. So like we were just talking about, what's it called? We were talking about Bull. So Bull's a good example. Bull comes out with earnings after the close. So I don't want to, be in the stock in case it's down, $4 because of whatnot. So what I'll do is, I'll take calls because risk is premium paid. Some people say, hey, options are really risky. I'm like, that's not true. If you, buy calls or buy puts, you know what your risk is. So if I just say go out and buy 20 of the $14 Bull calls for $1, I know I'm risking, $2,000. If I bought 2,000 shares of Bull here at $13, it could be down 4. I have unlimited risk and I could lose $8,000. So into binary events, I try and use options because anything could always happen. Even if you look back, at the Geneva scenario when, we were going to talk to China and the US, it could have fallen apart. So I tried to have limited equity on. So I did like a straddle with the spiders saying, hey, I think this, we could be up, 150 handles or down. So I bought, SPY calls and I used my levels and I bought puts. And if you remember, we were up like $15. So, I wound up making really good money in the SPY calls that covered the puts. And then the binary event was behind us. And then I used the charts and, was able to position in things that I wanted to position in. So typically on binary events, I use options. I never go naked options into binary events because they could have a crazy outcome. I always go with like a call spread, puts, a put spread. I'm not a sophisticated option guy. I usually could give you guys option strategies that you could follow, because it's just part of my whole process. So number 1 rule into binary events, whether it's an election, whether it's earnings, chances are I'm using options and a lot less equity in my active and swing trading accounts where I get paid for a living.
I too avoid all earnings trades. Unless
I don't avoid earnings trades. I just don't hold the stock. I'll go with options. So I'm involved or trade it
I'm
out.
wary of options trades. Right. Rule number 2, take smart risks.
Yeah. So basically, if you're gonna use options, don't always use like lotto options. Like a lot of people love these lotto plays for options where they'll go a bunch of strikes higher where it's really unrealistic because they don't want to go in the money, for for the trade that they're looking at. So what I try and say is just, take the smart risk, like an 11 versus 6 in blackjack. You know what you should do. You should double down with an 11 versus 6 because chances are the probability is you get a face card, and God forbid you don't. He has a 6 and he could turn over a 10 and then bust, and you can win 2 ways. So I would say I only play a lotto play every now and then because chances are, you go try and play the lotto, you don't really win the lotto that often. That's why millions of people play and only a small amount of percentage of people win. So if you're going to play options, try and go in the money, try and use the right area, maybe do a call spread or a put spread so it helps finance it. try not to do as many lotto spreads because, only one or two out of 10 usually hit on those.
Number 3 is use options when you don't want to trade actively. That's interesting. So explain the difference, because I think that's important.
So like GME, which is a great example. So GME was trading like 27 or 28, for the past 2-3 weeks. And I've thought in my head that GME is going to go with Bitcoin. They're supposed to announce at some point, how much Bitcoin that they bought, but they didn't do it. So every time GME would go a little bit, I'd buy a few thousand shares and then it would come in. I'd buy a few thousand shares and then it would come in. And I'd be over trading and I'd be losing thousands of dollars. And meanwhile, the stock, wouldn't do anything. So sometimes I'll say, hey, what don't I want to miss with GME? I don't want to miss GME if it's going to get above 28.50 and go to 32. So why don't I just go buy, the $29 calls or the $30 calls, go out 2 weeks. So I'm not always testing it and going after it, and I'll just buy the calls. So if it happens to go when I'm not looking or when I'm not on my desk or whatnot, I'm involved. So whenever I'm not exactly sure when something could trigger, for me to put the actual shares on, sometimes I'll go out a few weeks and I'll put options on so I'm not over trading it. But if my idea is right, I make money with the options versus over trading a stock and losing more than I have to, versus if I'm wrong, I just lose the premium paid. So actually today, GME went to 30.43, up $1.34, and before we sold some and, made some good money there. So basically, if I'm not sure when like a consolidation also is like going to break out and I'm waiting for that breakout day, sometimes I'll buy options to be involved. And then once that breakout day happens, then I'll add the stock and then I'll have options in stock. And that's when the alpha team knows I'm really serious because my idea triggered, and now I could be in the idea and I could be in the options and maybe even double dip and make money on both sides of it.
So the alpha team is that the group?
Yeah, so that's like 325 people logged in right now that get to talk all day and kind of like what's going up on the right, and they get to see all my positions and see what I'm taking on, taking off, et cetera, et cetera. And we all, we start the day like 7 in the morning. I'm in here at 6, but I'm saying like I don't really say good morning and start posting charts in the alpha team until about between 7 or 8, and I put about 40 charts in there.
That's awesome. So, and I want to just add that one of the things I like about options is like something like GameStop. It probably won't happen, but let's say you get like a United Healthcare situation where you're like, oh, the CEO of GameStop's going to jail. If you own the stock, you'll lose it all. If you own the option, you're only losing your cost basis on the option, which is a lot less. So both ways, it's a lot, it's
the risk is premium paid. Exactly. Yeah. Like that the other day, we did that really great trade on Thursday of last week. That last gap down, stock was trading like below 260. And I'm like, so many people have tried to catch a bottom, and they were getting their clock cleaned. And I'm like, what? I'm like, if you're going to play it, play it with options. So stock was like 255. We bought like the 310 calls for like $3-4. And then that was, I think, Thursday into Friday. And then Monday it opened up with all the insider buying this and that. And we sold them for 10 or 12. So my risk was, buying 20 of them at $3. I was risking $6,000. And the risk reward in my head is, I'm like, if I'm right, I'll probably get out of 10 or 12. Versus if I was wrong and it dropped another 50, like the people who were wrong 2-3 weeks ago, their risk is endless, or they already lost all their premium. So anyway, in situations, that's kind of like a binary event when something is going crazy to the downside, and it could be up or down 40 points based on, what's going on in the news. I'd rather use options also. Not sell options, but, calls or puts. But UNH was a good trade.
By the way, coming up, we got 2 more of the strategy. Then we are going to get into trade examples. We're going to get into risk management, some really good things. I just like to feel the energy of the audience, because you know what it is? There's like, I was told there's a couple thousand people on, which is amazing. And then you get a couple people who I understand are like, oh, come on, get into it. Which I'm very sensitive.
We are getting into it. This is real life stuff. Real life trade is real time.
Yeah, from before. Yeah. But I want everyone who's like here and energetic to just, chat in something. Up to almost 3,000. So 3, just give me like a yes if you're ready to see these examples and see how Scott manages risk management and you're excited to be here, because I love the I love to feel the audience just when the chats go for it. You know what I mean?
Well,
It
you can
just,
give us a hell's yes too.
yeah, yeah.
Can I get a hoot hoot?
It just creates
Can I
better
get a what?
energy. You know, going back to the DJ days.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Want me to put on Rob Bass Radio? No.
people would like that.
Want me to do
So
it? That's my favorite
number four, as the energy flies in, which I appreciate so much. Do not overcomplicate things. I like that. So take us through it.
No, well, that's kind of like I said, I do a lot of simple option strategies. Like if
Yeah.
I'm looking for an earnings play, I'll map out levels and I'll do, a call spread. I'll do where do I think it can get above, where do I think it can go, and I'll just do a call spread, or sometimes I'll just do straight calls. Everyone talks about like butterflies and all these different types of things. To be honest, I'm a cotton napkin technician, so I try not to overdo it. Sometimes the best way to do it, which the community loves, is like if I think a stock's going to break out, I'll buy the options in the money. The stock will go up for 2-3 days, and then I'll sell a strike higher and create a call spread. But the move kind of financed it. So then instead of selling it, now if it hangs out there, I get to keep the premium of the sell side of the call spread. But I just don't think you need to overcomplicate it with 10 different ways to do the options. Like if you think the stock's going up, buy calls. And if you want to have it be less cost effective or reduce your pricing because volatility is high, do a call spread. Same thing on the downside, puts or a put spread, and if you think you're about to catch it and you want to buy it, make some money and then finance it by turning it into a call spread, that's about as sophisticated as I get in my option strategies.
Aim high.
Aim high. Okay, that's a really good one because I don't look to make 10, 20, 30% on my options because it just doesn't, it doesn't excite me, and you typically lose in a lot of options. So if I'm going to play an option play, I typically want to risk like $2 to make 6 or risk 4 to make 7. So if you're going to play options, you're not looking to play options for 20, 30%. You're looking to play options to make 100 to 400% in an option play. That's just the way I do it. Even with if I trade, different the indices or the spies, I look at the risk reward, and if the risk reward isn't great, chances are, you don't need to do it. So in options, I tend to want to make 100 to like 400%, and it happens all the time. And then sometimes I also use, the only time I don't aim high is when, I use options as a hedge. Like last week when the spies were trading, in that zone where I kind of thought we were overbought and there was no way we were going to get above 595, I was selling 596 and 597 calls naked, not into a binary event, naked as a hedge. So instead of shorting the spies of 593, I'm shorting 596s, collecting 90 cents. And that was my way of using options to create income, as we worked off the overbought condition. So when I want to do a play, I want to make 100 to 300% usually, but when I want to just use it as a vehicle to add cash flow, it doesn't have to be that way. Like I rarely short in the money, SPY calls, even if I think when it go down, it's because I'd rather have the room versus if I was shorting the SPY 595s when we were at 595, you collect $2.50. But if you're wrong, it's not great. If you short the 597s for $1 or $1.10, you have $2 of room, and then what you got paid. So depending on the situation, I like to aim high, making probably 1 to 300% on earnings plays options or even on breakouts. But when I use options as a vehicle to add extra cash flow, it doesn't have to be as high.
Simple, powerful recipe.
Simple power. Like there's got to be a setup. You're not just playing options to play options. There are a lot of times you go into earnings and the stock had a major move, and you're like, I want to play this for earnings, and then you look at how much the vol is there and how much the pricing is in the options, and you're just like, I can't make money on this. I could be right and lose. So
let me ask you a couple questions on this, because this is important, and this is where I think a lot of traders struggle. So out of the money calls puts, which makes sense because there's less risk there. But I assume that when you're doing those kind of trades, what you want to establish is that it's in motion, that you're not going to buy something and the options just gap and the stock just sits there. That's why you first look for a catalyst. The catalyst means something's in play. And at that point, you'll start trading options, maybe like United Healthcare, criminal investigation, GameStop, buying Bitcoin, whatever it is. You're looking for the stock to be in motion, which makes it safe to trade the out of the money options, correct?
Yeah, well, stocks don't always just move on their own. There needs to be a catalyst for it. So if you're going to play like out of the money, like when Bitcoin was hovering between like 102 and 107, and I was like, Bitcoin's going to get above 107. How do I play the options? We've been here for 4 or 5 days. It feels like it's ready. There's like a setup there. So then otherwise, if there's no setup, you're going to lose your time decay. And sometimes I wait for motion, but typically just from doing this for 25 years, I can feel the motion about a day away usually, or there is an event. And then sometimes I'll start with a certain amount of options, and then the motion happens, then I'll go after it. So you want to have a catalyst if you're going to be putting a lot of money into an option play, but the setup needs to be there. You just don't trade options. There needs to be something going on there. Like with UNH, I didn't look at UNH. I haven't traded UNH all year. And then all of a sudden, it was like the pain trade. Everybody was trying to buy it. And I'm finally like, all right, this thing, the RSI is like 11. I'm going to play now. The risk reward is a 1 to 400, which goes with the last slide. And I felt like it's either, going to work, there's something that's going to happen soon. So I did it on Thursday or Friday for this Friday. I gave myself a week, but there was something going on there for it. Just don't play options in situations where there's something not going on or there's not a really good setup.
Okay. So, and then with trimming gains, obviously you take partial profits. That's another thing people like to learn and they struggle with. But if you're something's going against you, do you get out of it all at once when you say keep losing your check, or do you sometimes the same way you scale out of a winner, do you scale out of a loser? Let's just lower the position first.
That's funny. So many times I've tried to salvage options. I'm like, let me just save the 30 cents because I don't think it's going to work. The setup changed. And that's where I probably should triple down, and then it works. So you try and buy an option for $1.20. You want to salvage 30 cents just to salvage 30 cents. But I typically like to use the tier system more when it's working. So this way you're booking some. Like yesterday when Google started flat and wound up going from like where Google hit like 173 yesterday. So just say I had 50 calls on, and the stock was 168, and my average was 160. I was selling 10 at 2 1/4, 10 at 275, 10 at 3 1/4, 10 at 4. Then all of a sudden, I'm down to 10 left. I'm like, okay, now I'll trade around this, but that was the move that I wanted, and now I'll just trail a move. So then yesterday, when the market pulled in because of the failed auction, I bought a little bit more, and then today we gapped up 3-4 points. I sold those, and then I kept what I had. So you can trade around options the same way you trade around your equities. So I do use a tier system to book some because you need to net money to make a living. And then let some go just in case, it gets a little friskier and you can make more money. Like right now, something's going on that my options account is going up. Maybe it could be bulls now up $1.
Market's running. Market's running.
Speaking of which, Google. Yeah.
Speaking of which, market's running. I'm going to do something fun here. We'll chat in the word wild if you want to get a little wild right now, because I have an idea. Because I'm looking at this, and I did actually show up and look at this presentation before we did it. So I know it's coming, and we're going to go through some trades and all that stuff. But what I wanted to do really quickly before we even go through the trades, I'm going to skip ahead just to manage people's times, because people have the ability to follow along with what you do. Okay. And I'm going to go back to all this stuff. Don't worry. We're going to go with a lot of it. There's a lot of winners on here, which is really cool. And everyone knows that. This NVDA was a 96% gain in 4 days. IBIT 57%, XBI 152% in 10 days, Dash 112%. We know you win. You've been doing it for 20 years. That's why you're here. Everyone on here knows you win. So what I want to do is get people with what's on your radar now. And so you've integrated options into your daily trading. And now people have the ability, if they like options trading, which is why I told my audience to come on here, because they do, they have the ability to follow along with what you're doing in options. And, you launched Power Play Stocks in 2021, but everyone's been asking for options, so you launched it. And if anyone has to go, this is recorded. We'll get you the presentation later, but I know people want to sign up and follow you. That's why they're here. A lot of my people said they want to follow you. So I'm going to let people have a shot right now to join, and then we're going to go back and go through some more stuff real quick. But Scott's Power Play options, you get one idea every week straight to your inbox. I've been getting them since 2024. Like I said, it's part of the routine. It's consistent. And when I really like it is when I feel like I'm not in a good rut and I'm not seeing things, I like looking at another professional's ideas to maybe get me turned on to some better stocks that are working for them.
Go back for a second. Let me go back to that, because it sometimes there's like 4 ideas in a week. Sometimes there might be only one. I'm never just going to give you an option idea because I need to give you an option idea. There's times when you're in a nice area of the market where a lot of things are working, and then we're going to put it on. And then there are other times when the market's not doing so great and we're not going to do as many. But there are those sweet spots when things are working where we might have 7 options working at once, and you might make your quarter a month in those 2 weeks. I'll always look for, some things that I'm doing that have a high percentage of working, but I'm not like guaranteeing one a week because there might not be one. I don't want to just lose your money because I'm like, oh, I have to do one a week. No, I'm going to give you the right trade. And the beauty of this is, it's a push out product. Some people are like, hey, I don't want to read your 40 charts and if this, then that. I just want to be told what to do. So Power Plays is where I just tell you what to do. Buy these options, and do this strike, do that, and boom, you do it. And then, what we've also incorporated is that we give you a way out, where I'm like, we sell a third. Like if all of a sudden we buy options on one day and the next day the stock's up, the options are up 120%, I'll be like, take a third off. So, the Power Plays depends on what's going on in the market, but I'm telling you what to do because that's what people are asking for. They just like, I'm really busy, Red Dog. Just tell me what options to buy. I trust you. You're a good guy. You're not always right, but you're going to have my best interest at heart. So boom, we come up with these option plays because a lot of people don't have a few $1 million account where they could trade, Google, or trade Tesla. They trade options on them. So I'm like, you know what? Options trade, technically, we're going to come up with an option product. So people who want options, we're going to give them options.
And yeah, you get the one idea every week, and this is what it looks like. Power Play options, new idea in the video calls, May 6, 2025. The video looks ready to ignite, so I'm adding this position to Power Plays. Long the video, May 16th, 116 calls. These calls look good in the 265 to 3 area. And by the way, when I talk about good ideas,
this was a great idea.
NVIDIA at 116 a week ago, it's at 133. So
we played that. We killed it on that. I'm not saying we kill it on all of it, but I was focusing on like if the market's going to go, NVIDIA, if I could show you the chart, it's going to break above 115. So it was like trading 113, 114. We were buying the 115s, in size, or 116, whatever it was. And then it wound up going, and then we actually rolled them up into the 120s that wound up working also. And you want to know what I'm working on now, like into the little weakness here. I've been buying the 140s for earnings for next week. That's more of like a lotto play. To me, I'm risking 3 to make maybe 10. So I've been buying a little bit of NVIDIA calls for earnings. And also tomorrow I'm on my way to the Bahamas to go away Memorial Day weekend with my family. I started buying some NVIDIA calls for just saying, if the market's like strong now, if it's going to go, if NVIDIA takes out 135, 137, I'm buying some NVIDIA calls, which are kind of cheap for tomorrow as a lotto type play. That if I'm not able to add, I'm not on my desk. So that's 2 different types of option trades. One is for tomorrow if NVIDIA wants to clear this inside area, and then one for earnings because it's been sitting in this range for a year and change. Maybe finally it goes.
And by the way, the whole thing, and the reason why I was able to jump ahead, I only jump ahead when something is priced at so ridiculous that I know everyone's just going to get it. So I don't want anyone to leave before they realize that. And this, I looked ahead. This is just ridiculous. Like, you're underpriced, Scott. Maybe we'll change that as I have more of an influence. But let me get into it. So you get alerts when it's time to take action. You get a weekly roundup every Friday. Get updates on every single position, plus his latest portfolio strategy update. And that's where I said it all goes back to the routine. Every Friday, you get the thing. You keep it in motion. You stay in sync. constantly going, which is so important to be successful in trading. And
it's true. I'm a freaking creature of habit.
Right, and it's so important. And also, you get all the ideas, the Friday recaps, the active updates, all the experience. Plus, they threw in 4 bonuses, which is unbelievable. So you get 13 hours of video trading, a trading guide, your methods for understanding reversals, gaps, and more. More video.
If you go back to that for a second, I want to say something about Brother
Yeah.
Ultimate. So this is, by the way, this is crazy because, I did this a bunch of years ago where like 7 people or maybe 10 people from around the world came and spent the weekend with me. And I think that was like $5,000. People paid $5,000 to hang out with me for the weekend. There were like 10 or 12 of them. We went out to dinner Friday night, and then we did like 5 hours of classroom. Then went out to dinner and had some fun Saturday night. Sunday, another 5 hours of everything that I've ever learned, I put into that weekend. And then we went to Central Park. We went for a run. I even brought them to the Russian bathhouse. We got hit with little Platza sticks. And then on Monday, they watched me trade. So put everything together. So that was a weekend. So the Ultimate Access videos that you're getting as an add-on cost somebody $5,000 for the weekend. And they're my best friends now. They're not my best friends, but we're very close. Like you bond with these guys. These guys are, part of my community and like, part of my crew. I talk to them more than I talk to my old high school friends.
And that's what it's going to be like. That's what it's like this when you're part of a community. That's why I said it's all about community. And by the way, there's one more thing that's really cool, which is that there's a coaching session you're doing. Like that's kind of like a mastermind where you're hosting a Power Plays Options coaching session where people could come ask you questions. That's included with it. By the way, that by itself would have been the price I'm about to say. So that's why I'm just jumping.
Well, they actually asked me a favor this week. Like, you mind doing a coaching session? I'm like, I'll do a coaching session. Because usually they would charge $500 for an hour. I know my friend who I don't know if you guys saw, I did a webinar with M1, who is a trading performance coach. He charges $1,200 an hour, and people pay it. He's on retainer for $5,000 as a coach for like 10 people. Like I was talking to him, he's like, I had 10 phone calls an hour. I'm like, you got paid, $1,200 an hour from 10 different people. And he's like, yeah, Red Dog, you're so underpriced. I was like, okay.
And you guys are about to see that right now. That's why I jumped ahead, because it's kind of silly. So what it is, and everyone, we're about to see 1,000 new people in your community, is it's an 83% off, I guess, Memorial Day special, where you get the quarterly subscription to Power Play Options. You get the Redler Ultimate Access course, the options in plain English, the 1 month of the Alpha Team, and the coaching session. $1,742 value, and your price is $299, which is crazy. Plus, it comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Sean said he's getting the deal for $924. Nope, it's $299. I guess $924 would be for maybe a year. This for the quarter, it's $299 at t3live.com/deal. Comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. I just want everyone to just grab it right now, because for $299, you're getting trades every week. You're getting the coaching session. Literally, like I was like, let me.
It's $299 for the quarter. So that's 12 weeks broken down. How much is it a week?
So $299 for the. So it's $299 for the quarter is.
Let's see if someone comes up faster on the chat. $299 for the quarter, 12 weeks.
So it's 12 weeks. So it's like 20
It's like $90. It's not even.
No, it's 26.
It's like $80 a week.
It's like $26 a week.
Wait. Yeah. Oh, that's a month. I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
$26 a week. So yeah, no brainer there. So everyone just go to t3live.com/deal to get his option trades. I've been using him since 2024. It is great. And I don't know if you guys follow me, but like, you got to be careful with the word endorse, but there's no one I come on for anymore. Truly, I'm at a point in my life where I don't have to, like I don't have to like go promote. I do remember there was one point in my career, whatever, I don't care. I'll just name names. We're all a close group here. There was a point in my career, probably over 10 years ago, Scott, where there was a company that we did like a quid pro quo where like I would promote them, they would promote me. And they were so good at marketing that they would get thousands of people in a room, and I would get so many new customers because they promoted me. But in turn, I had to promote them. And they had a product that was called like a money calendar or something. It was so stupid. And I was like sick to myself. I couldn't do it. And I couldn't work it. It wasn't authentic. And eventually I just had to stop because I was like, even though it was worth a crazy amount of money for me to have that relationship, I was like, I can't keep on talking about this thing. It's stupid. And I don't believe in it. So it's like a pleasure, like, because this is just like good. I'm doing good. I'm introducing people to a real trader that I'm happy for them to follow along with. And I could truly say that in the last year, you're the only person I've done this for.
Okay, I
besides
appreciate
myself.
that.
So
I've never done it. I don't think.
yeah,
I'm just saying that so for you to do it for me, that's awesome. It's
yeah.
I feel thank you. And again, it's like what you see is what you get, which is usually why so many of your guys are coming here, because they believe you and you know that your intentions are there. And I'm not going to always be right, but I'm right a lot of the times, and at least I'm not feeding you bullshit. Like I'm trading, I'm doing it, I'm here, I'm up at 445, I'm coming up with the ideas, I'm trying to make sure I'm not just giving you ideas to give ideas. Like most of the ideas that you get, I'm in also, and I'm trying to do.
So I
with
want to
that,
make sure that the page is good because I can't see. So it says, I just want to make sure that some people said they're seeing a different price. There might be like cookies or something, but no, yeah, I'm seeing 924 too.
well, by the way, what came out on Amazon, everyone? Pershing Square Exec taking a full position in Amazon. So is that what's his face?
Bill Ackman.
He's taking a position in Amazon now.
Yeah, I am seeing that their order page is off. So let me give me a second. They're gonna update it. So see, it really is 83% off because the old price is still on there. So that's how you guys know you're getting a deal. So you could chat in to contact them, or we'll see. Okay, one sec. So there's a direct link to chat in. And you guys could let me know when it's updated. By the way, this would be incredible marketing if they had the old price in on purpose, but this was definitely not on purpose because I could see they're panicking to switch it to the lower price.
By the way, if you're a trader right now, take a look at Amazon. I just bought a little Amazon like 204.50. News that Pershing took a new position, and this is probably a good spot for Amazon too. Amazon came in from 215 all the way into here. It just spiked, so you got to like be a little, make sure it's ahead of the VWAP, but you should probably take a look at Amazon right around here. Or you could pay for the deal, one or the other. It's a nice candle though. I'd like to, if someone has that, yeah.
This you caught that pretty quick. By the way.
Yeah, well, I didn't catch it. The alpha team. That's why you have a big group of people, and you see a volume spike. Everyone's like, "What's going on? What's going on?" And then you get that's the beauty of having a group, and a bunch of them are doing it also. So if Amazon could hold here a little bit, you look at the chart. Why can't this thing? This thing just was at 215 out in that last room. Nice bull flag. It's not like it's 3-4 days up.
Guys, good news. The price is fixed now. By the way, I bought bull at the beginning of this call just so I remember to trade it, and I'm up in that already. So thank you. So yeah, I already paid for my first couple of weeks. So the price. Wait, let me just make sure with no cookies it goes. I guess you would have to do it in a new browser. So if you go to
usually Wall Street, the Wall Street engine, who I know pretty well, has it. Let's see if it's there. Here you go. A Pershing Square exec is reportedly saying that they've taken a position in Amazon, noting that CEO Andy Jassy is doing an incredible job. 17 seconds ago. So it's just out there. So some algo picked it up first.
So you think it's still early in the news?
It's up. Yeah, it's only at 1.9%, and the stock has just came in from 215, and it's been probably held down a little bit because you had Jeff, a seller, post earnings, because he has to. Him and Mackenzie, the wife, have to sell a certain amount after every earnings report, which is crap, which suffocates it. But I think it already happened. So, I think this is I just bought a little bit more at 205. I'm not going to get crazy here though, but I want to get that verified. Anywho, if you were buying options, you know what you do? You go out to next Friday and buy the 210s, right? Because if it goes and it holds, why isn't this thing not going to be 210?
Let's see if it goes. Let's see if it goes. Good if it goes. So yeah, if you go into a different browser, you can now successfully secure the $299 price. Let me know if that works for all of you, please. Was this a 2-hour webinar? Well, no, it hasn't been so far, and I don't think me and Scott are going to stay here for 2 hours with the market moving around. But what I will do is let me know if you guys are good. If you're able to get the $299 offer, just write yes right now, and then I could go back and cover some of the other stuff we discussed. But in the meantime, Scott.
By the way, if you want to take a little scalp, now I just traded out of some at 205.47. So you just made 50 cents. That could have paid for your little this new product. But anyway.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, you just got to.
But I'm sticking. I'm like this. I'm gonna sit in and hopefully this isn't not the wrong news or whatever it's called. Let's see.
Fake news.
Fake news. Fake news. Fake news. No, I don't think it is. Anyway,
it's starting to move around a little more volatile, which is good.
QUBT had a nice move. I got in that early today. You see the move in IONQ and some of these quantum names. All right.
Let me see this.
WRD. All right. By the way, let's see how we can multitask.
You can. I can. No, just kidding. Is everyone good on the link? Did you see the new price? Did you get the $299 you were looking for? Switch from Firefox to Chrome, and I see the new price. So Marge got it. Did David get it? And EB, did you get it? And Richard and Tom and 65 and Jason, you guys all got it? Sean, everyone sees it? You're good? Okay. So yeah, the $299 is the good one. And nope. Okay. Now, I've used it for a number of years and transformed the way I trade. I'm more disciplined, less emotional, making more consistently with their ideas. Made some company. I'm not in an options group. It's giving me hands-on experience. I mean, yeah, we know you.
By the way, the news is just hitting CNBC right now. That's how friggin' slow those guys are.
Really?
It's just hitting CNBC now. Pershing Square adds new position in Amazon in April. I just bought the 210 options for next week, just to have on like $1.
That was very much ahead of the. You already scalped it before they even put it on CNBC.
Yeah, from 204.70 to 205.40. Now I'm going to sit and not overdo it. And now, see, like what I said before, now I have options on. So now I'm like fine with it. I have the 210s on. It was a 215 if it's real and it goes and it has a day one that leads to a bigger move. The $1.60 calls will be a lot more than that. Or you could do a call spread, 207.50s by 210s something like that. There you go, ice cold. So it could pull in a little bit. That's why I'm just like in a feeler now, engaging it.
Let's see.
No, this isn't too much. If it's, if this could be a little catalyst for it. But anyway.
All right. Okay, Mildred, use a different browser. Okay. Yeah, I am working with T3 Live. I have been for a year. I like partner with them.
Oh, he's best friends with the CEO also.
Yeah.
They've childhood friends. So it's like we're all connected in some way where, there's some groups of guys that are good and there are some that, you just don't want to be a part of. But anyway.
So the link works if it's not a different browser. And I hope we should have 1,000 new people in because it's a great deal. But now just so we had the chance to do that, and I'll do it again in a little bit. I guess we could spend like 10 minutes. We'll try to quickly go through. Okay. Scott uses.
No, we did this already.
Yeah, I know. All the charts are daily options. These are ideas from the Power Play option server, which we'll discuss later. Just making sure I cover that. So risk management, Scott, no one has 100% success rate. Part of the game is managing losers and moving on.
I'm sorry, I'm trading.
I got it.
Right. So reality of options, no one has 100% success rate. Part of the game is managing losers and moving on. Yes. I usually, again, if I put an option trade on, I'm not like, they go down 20, 30%. I'm like, it's either going to work and make 100 to 300 to 400%, or it's not. And usually when I put on options, I'm giving it time. I'm going out, like right now it's Thursday. So with Amazon, just in case, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to give it to next Friday. So if there's a real move here, I don't have to just play for tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So you could go with lotto ones and say, okay, if it's real, I'm going to buy the 207.50s for tomorrow. It could be a 2010, but I give it a little bit more room. And because if we pull in now a little bit and it goes down, I'm not getting out. This is like, I'm committing to this option play that if it's going to have a day one and wake this stock up, the stock's been not great, for the last 2 weeks into that move, maybe it gets better.
Okay. Example, on April 15th, PPO went long, Power Play options went long, TSLL calls. It's a leveraged Tesla ETF. That's pretty cool. I never heard of that. And you cut and ran the next day because it was too early?
Yes. Basically, when Tesla was trading in the range where it would look like it was going to break above, what was it? It was like 324. It broke a level, and I was like, you know what? It's wrong. Let me just get out of it. So I didn't want to have them lose everything. So it didn't look like it was ready to go. And then, 2 days later, it looked better, got above the area, went back to it, and then it turned into like 100+% winner, which I think is the next slide.
All right. This is
where, yeah. So it looked like the wedge was going to break to the upside, and then it broke to the downside, and then it came all the way in, and then the next week it took off, and it, went right back at it because the trade ignited, and it was awesome. So go to the next one.
Betting against gold.
Oh, that was the gold puts. That was a good one. That was on that bearish engulfing day that we had. Where I was like, you know what? I think that's the top, short-term top. We bought puts on gold. Everyone yelled at me. All the gold bugs were so pissed off. But meanwhile, it turned out to be a really good trade.
Yes, it was. You bought them at 425, sell 525, sell 620, sell 385, 20% gain. Options for earnings and events are bread and butter in Q2. There are a lot of beaten down names with big upside potential. Power Play options took partial profits before the reports to lock in gains.
Oh, yeah, this was TTD. That was a great one. Anybody play TTD for earnings? That one, sometimes I'll buy options like a week and a half out just in case there's a pre-earnings run. And TTD had a freaking awesome run and wound up taking off 2/3 of it before the actual earnings for like 150% just to be a little risk averse. And then it had a huge move and it worked out really well. So the point here is sometimes you take some off and make a little bit, and then you keep a runner on to make a lot more. So we're doing it a lot of different ways to guarantee that you try and net some money.
Awesome. 190% gain, TTD, pre-earnings ramp, plus a pop after.
Yeah, so we got the pre-earnings run.
Nice trade.
And then I could have turned it into a call spread, which I said before. Sometimes I'll buy, beforehand, and then it'll run into earnings, and then instead of selling it, I'll sell an upside call to create a call spread to keep it all, and that finances it.
JD wins. China looked ready to reignite in late April. PP added JD calls on April 25th because a strong China name with earnings as a catalyst. 93% gain. I mean, so let's look at this for a second. So if someone bought, do you guys do recommended size, or people trade whatever they want?
They trade whatever they want. Sometimes I'll say tier 1 or tier 2 or tier 3 based on my conviction, depending also if it's like a name that I know well or a name that I care about, that I've been waiting for. I'll do more size versus like a one-off trade where I'm like, this could work. I like it. Let's just do, tier 1. And tier 1 is different. Your tier 1 is different than my tier 1. It all depends on, the size of your account and how long you've been doing it for. But tier 1 is different, for everyone. So we try and talk in tiers so everybody doesn't feel like, they're belittled. Like if I say at my tier 1, I'm buying 100 calls and someone else's tier 1 is 10, that just doesn't feel nice. So we talk in tiers. So, and then once you put it on, we say sell a third, whatever that third is for you, or sell half, or take it all off. So we try and use our tier system method for their execution.
I like that. So if someone put 10 contracts in for 99 cents, they would have made close to $1,000 on one trade. So that's why I said the pricing was easy for me to do. David, if you can't get deal on the different browser, just email. They'll email you. So we had a similar play in January. On January 28th, PPO added BABA calls. Bought at $1, sold $2.92, $5.58.40. 434% gain in 3 days. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that one was a good one.
That was good. If I think a stock will move hard and fast, I'll use options. This magnifies returns with defined risk. We discussed that already. We went back to TSL. The market is so frustrated with Tesla, the surprise up move could happen in the next 2 days. I use TSL calls for maximum upside potential. I like this. So that's a cheap option, 73 cents buy. So like, let's say you're a newbie. If you get in, you could spend $73 and you made 300. If you're a little more comfortable with risk, if you spent $700, you made 3,000.
By the way, just like real quickly on this, like this whole, one more thing with this Amazon, it's like this would be like a potential. Like I just texted Mike. I'm like, let's do the 210 calls for next Friday. I think it's a high percentage play for the options. For this product. So this would be something that he would go get it approved by compliance, and you would probably get an email within the next, you could be at the grocery store, you could be, at your job, you could be doing whatever you're doing. And basically you get an email saying, Amazon, ignited news that Pershing is taking a new stake. It could get it going. Let's buy the 210 calls for next Friday. And it'll be in your inbox, within a half hour or so. But again, like these aren't like day trades. So some people are like, well, you bought it early or you bought it later. Like, no, well, I want to make sure that it feels right. And then it may not be perfect. These are swing trades. This product isn't for day trading options. It's more like for something that it has a nice setup, can get ready to go, and could pay you 100% to 300%. And it might take a few days or not. So this isn't like you buy it today. If it was up $4 tomorrow, like Google was, maybe I would say, hey, take a third off and just feel good and then let the rest go. But that's how we formulate, the situation.
By the way, I got a cheapo stock that's pumping today. Actually, I won't get myself into trouble. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about anything. I'm going to prove it, but I'm going to give you one that looks good today. But I won't get myself in trouble. The look ready to ignite on May 6th. PPO kept it simple with short-term calls. So you bought the 116 calls. And by the way, this is what I'm talking about with the idea. I talk about this with Tom Sosnoff all the time. The idea of positive drift, making trades, ideas, staying in the game. Like if you had power play options and you looked at NVIDIA and then you started doing stuff on your own, I mean, it just made a ridiculous move for the last couple of weeks. So it would have been the gift that keeps on giving, which is, I think, important to note.
Yeah, this one was just exactly. So if you look where we bought it at 273, that was when it was below that 115, and then you had that big move up. We sold it at 490, and then on those 2 down days is when I rolled them up into the 120s. So that NVIDIA trade was great, and the Alpha team got to see it all different ways. So, if you trade real time for a living, you're seeing it, you're going with it, and then the actual product helps. But you could have this product and not trade for a living and be in front of your computer screen the entire time. So that's why people love this, because I could say, hey, buy NVIDIA here, and then 2 days later you're selling it, and just sometimes it happens that way. And but I milk that trade a lot of different ways besides just options.
Yeah, it seems like you know the NVIDIA pretty well.
Yeah, it's usually when it's moving, like if Tesla's moving, it's my baby.
Okay. So you just put on an alert for this service while we were on this call.
Yeah. I just told Mike, who's in charge, I said, hey, buy the 210 calls for next Friday, and and give a little blurb, and he's going to gets it approved by compliance, and then he goes out with it.
So that's pretty cool. So you guys want to follow up? If you want to see how to get out of Amazon, if you bought it on this call, you got to join to see how to get out of it next week. Just kidding.
Or some tomorrow if it gets on every news wire and every newspaper, and people start, and it gets a delayed effect, because sometimes that happens also.
So IBIT, you made 57%, XBI 152%, Dash 112%. And what's on your radar now? You focus on stocks for years, learning to spot. You focused on stocks for years. Your outlook is in years. You focused on stocks for years, learning to spot trend changes and big moves. Slowly integrated options to your daily trading, and now sharing them with everyone. Okay, so we went to this, which is the idea.
By the way, Mike just said if you join right now, you will actually see that you'll see in 12 minutes you get the alert, or in 10 minutes, and that will be your first option play. And we can remember this forever.
Yeah.
But so yeah. Anyway.
Someone can email David. I know he's been trying to get in on that deal. I don't know how.
I don't know. What you will know is I'm not the admin guy or the tech guy. I am the guy that's scouring the markets for plays that could work and make money. And this would be nice if this one does. You would think, unless the market's really set up here for a rest and for next week to go lower. You would think that if we hang around here, if the SPYs that just held 582 and reclaimed it, if we're going to be holding here for higher prices, this should be able to put Amazon back in the game.
Do you think it's been lagging a little bit?
Yeah, it has. I played it pretty well, and I sold a lot into strength up into that 215 area, and then, it just leaked, and I just said, there are better things to play out there, So maybe this, with Jeff being done, it's been 2 weeks. He's been able to hopefully sell some stock, and maybe them as a buyer. That's what helped Uber, a week ago or so. Maybe this helps. And if it doesn't, right now, I would say technically, it shouldn't go back below 202.50. Right now, let me see where maybe it's trying to let the VWAP catch up. Where's the VWAP on Amazon right now? I like to use the VWAP. The VWAP is 203.23. So this should not get through or below 203.23. It's just probably letting it catch up for the computers. ASTS is actually doing better today too. But anyway.
Oh, I was in that at 9.
Nice. That was a good trade. It's been in this channel for a long time. I know a lot of people think ASTS is going to be like $50 in 3 months. It can't get over 29. Get it over 29. Let's go.
But that's the beauty of options. There's something where you can put on a credit spread, and you're like, good.
Yeah, that's exactly what this would be for. So it would be like, hey, it's hovering here. It's been in a channel for this many months. I don't know when it's going to ignite. Why don't we just buy the $30 calls, go out 2 months, maybe buy the 30 and sell the 35s. So this way, if it doesn't happen quickly, you're not getting the time decay. And that would be a good idea for a power play that that hasn't ignited yet. And then when it ignites, I usually buy the stock also, besides, sitting in the option, waiting for some kind of news from a carrier or from whatever to ignite it.
I'm just looking at this. Market's fun. I love trading. Do you guys love trading? Does everyone love trading? How many people already have some of Scott's stuff? Just say me, because I know you got a big following.
RGTI, what a move. Damn it. I had that one. RGTI moved with it also. Got above that level. Holy cow. Look at RGTI.
I mean, these quantum stocks were supposed to be a 10-year play.
You know what might go? Just as a side thought, RR. RR, tends to move with RGTI and some of those. It's what's probably the bottom feeder of that group. But so was QUBT.
RR, like Rich Tech Robotics?
Yeah.
Is that an AI play though, or no?
It's more of a robotics. Wasn't RGTI more of robotics also?
No, RGTI is quantum too. As I understood it, it traded. I could be wrong, but it traded with qubits and stuff.
Right. Qubits. It's funny how we call these stocks by their symbols.
Yeah.
It's like, Avgo. I call it Avgo. I didn't even know it was Broadcom.
By the way, I used to call Starbucks S-Bucks for years.
And did you go in there and say, "Hey, let's go to S-Bucks"?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
What?
Your wife's like, "What? S-Bucks?"
No, the best, the one I got made fun of the most for was Nike. I used to call it Nike. I couldn't fix. I literally always called it Nike. It was weird.
Well, hopefully you got away from Nike, because that's been a crap stock. Yeah, and started going to OnCloud, ON. That was an option play too. We had ON was a great power play. That's
I can hang out with Lulu's a big one in that case. I can hang out with you all day, Scott, and talk shop. All right, are we good? What are the stars? Okay, people left. All right, sorry we got went a little out of order, but I knew that when we were over, I just wanted to make sure people could sign up for this and have the time. I have my trades when they go off; they're set to a cash register. By the way, live. Okay, there we go. Jay said the website shows a price of $865. So do me a favor, Mike. I feel like we've had some issues with the pricing page. What should people do to make sure that they get the best price possible on this?
Why don't you just email Mike? Here comes Mike. Come on, Mike.
Okay, how's everybody doing today?
Good.
Okay, the internet is ruining everything today.
Are they?
So we'll tell everybody the story very quickly while I'm making a quick graphic for everybody to see. But we checked the price literally 10 minutes before this event started. It's part of our typical pre-flight checklist. And pre-flight, just like pilots. We are true professionals here. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Okay.
By the way, Mike, whatever you're going to say, this is why me and Scott show up 5 minutes before and don't think about anything. That way we don't feel bad when it's messed up.
Right? We didn't do it this time.
Yeah, it's not our fault.
That's the worst part. We don't have anybody to blame.
Come on.
I was ready to throw you guys under the bus. Guys, if you still have issues, email info@t3live.com, info@t3live.com, and my friend Amber will hook you up.
I'm adding Amazon right here, by the way. Let's go. I feel like like the high school kids. LFG. No. Anyway.
All right. So info@t3live. There we go. Does that work for you guys? Is that good? Brian said the link up farther in the chat. Can we just stay here and trade for another hour and a half? You guys
can chat. This is what we do on the Alpha team. We just sit and chat and bullshit and do trades. Do you hear my music in the background? You want to hear what we have?
What do you got? By the way, I gotta stop. I gotta say it now. I can't not say this stock. Scott, check out PCT.
Which one?
It's been pumping all day. Pure cycle. I own the
I hate,
stock.
by the way, that's a bad word. Never use the word pumping. It's rallying.
When I say pumping, like I'm talking about the rhythm. Yeah, rallying, the rhythm of it. There's not. It's not like a penny stock pump. It's just.
No, I get it. I'm just saying in general, that's good habit. What's the symbols?
PCT. And now it looks like it's really starting to go.
Ooh, that's a nice bet. That's a nice bullish engulfing candle. PCT.
Yeah. The options just gapped out. Like it was like 140, 145. Now the ones I'm in went to 140, 165.
That helps.
We'll see. I did buy some RR. Whenever it did start shooting up once you talked about it.
It's got to really get above 260-ish, so it's got some room. It hasn't ignited yet. It's still in the base, but the chart looks pretty good, so I think it's all right.
It's weird today. The market's not up so much today. It doesn't feel like, but like individual stuff I'm trading is doing great.
That helps. I mean, just stock selection is good.
Dow's up 194, NASDAQ 150. That's not so big. Nothing's up a lot. Like,
yeah.
Well,
Quantum's up a lot. Tesla's up a lot. Tesla's up 10. I missed Tesla today. Google's decent. Google ran in the first hour, hasn't done anything since. Microsoft is hanging out. What did Apple do? Did Apple do anything? That's not even green yet.
Oh, that MVTS finally broke through 5 for me. I told you it was going to.
There you go. All right, let me turn off Blondie.
What's that?
Ice cold. Who's a rope-a-dope?
What?
Oh yeah, you mean yesterday? Yeah, that's true. I also took down some risk. That's the beauty of being a trader. You could take things off, look for market discovery. SPYs could have stayed below 582 yesterday's lows. Instead, it reclaimed it and relieved some pressure. So if you think the market's going to change and you take off some risk, it's not a big deal. You could always get back in if the market tells you it's time to get back in. And yesterday was one of those days where it felt as if that could start a downside move, and it just didn't. But yeah, we're just getting back a little bit above the 8-day anyway. So I think the SPY is really 588 is a spot. 588. If we get back above that, anyone who's trying to short a rally here is going to get run over. But we have some room for that. They're really containing this Amazon. It's annoying me a little bit. Yeah, yields are just stocks want to go, and the yields just, actually the TLTs are up now a quarter. That's not so bad. So the TLTs did a red dog reversal. Meshi, do you know what a red dog reversal is?
It's is it when it hits off a certain level and turns hard down the other way or up the other way?
It's like when it goes below a prior low and reclaims that low and relieves the pressure of the direction. So if you're down for 3 days in a row, you have a prior low, trades below, it comes back above it. Shorts thought there'd be another down day. Instead, they have to cover, and then longs come in instead of buying, falling knife. They're buying versus that low, and it's a calculated way to play a counter trend position for cash flow and sometimes a swing. You could Google it. Anywho. What's IONQ doing?
Mike, can you come on? I think that whenever there's a problem with the link, you got to come up with something creative to get for everyone else. Who wants something like, by the way, I can't see the word. I used to be able to see where I don't even have a skin in the game. But Mike, what can you do cool for people? Can they try another service free too or something if they sign up now because there was a problem with the link? Give them something.
If you buy the deal, we will come up with a special gift for you. If you buy it or email us in the next 30 minutes.
Like a real gift. You'll take care of them. They got to get something cool. I
don't know what. So
they could do an ice plunge with me if they want to come to my house.
All right. We're going to, we need to, so this whole webinar has been a fiasco from start to finish.
And we're not even drinking. Like
okay,
usually that's like Thursday from 4:15 to 5:15.
Okay,
but it doesn't matter. Think about the big picture. 3,000 people here. I get to hang out with Scott. We're having a good time, so don't stress. People will come back. Now that they got to know us, and we could skip the bios. You guys want to come back next time, and we'll just go right into the, the trading.
This bull's near the highs of the day, but see, I still won't take the stock into earnings. I have options on because risk is premium paid. It could do anything for tomorrow. It could look great right now and be up 7.5%, have a day one, and then something goes on with earnings. So that's why I'm going with options for the earnings. I have what? We have the 15s and 14s, and both are up pretty nicely. What's up, Marco from Annapolis? How you doing, William Band? Wow, ice cold apple.
Trying to think. Can't do anything else. T3live.com/deal. That's good. T3 t-shirt and hat. Yeah, I guys, ask for the swag as a surprise.
No, we are not doing swag. We are not mailing people anything. We'll figure out something.
By the way, Scott, text me your address. Speaking of swag, I invested in like a clothing company that for guys, like it's high school and lower, and people are wearing the basketball shorts, but they're not like basketball shorts. They're much more stylish.
Oh yeah.
And I want to send your son a pair and have him wear them on his Instagram.
Well, we got to pay him to be an influencer. Come on.
Free shorts. If there's a big turnout though, then we could get into a larger deal.
All right. So I'll give you my address. He does
right.
he actually has he's done a few deals already. So, but this is for friends.
Yeah. No, and by the way, if he doesn't have to wear them, if he doesn't like them, but I think he'll like them.
I think he'll like them too. That's cool.
Yeah.
Good for you. That's funny.
There's some celebrities wearing them now, like that. Like the kids are wearing it. Like I
don't know any kids that are celebrities.
Well, you remember Noah Tepperberg?
Yeah.
Of course. So his wife's like she has millions of followers, and she her son was wearing them. She talked about them on her thing. So they're cool. So
that's cool. All right. I'll definitely, that's cool. We just did this whole thing with All Pro Health that, he's been going to get, stretched out and do mobility work, for free once a week since September. And he made it through his entire varsity season, and he just got named like VIP, a really good write up in the AAU. And so basically because he does his mobility work and because he does they call the sauces, which is stretches every day, I feel like he had a lot more durability through the entire basketball season, which is very taxing on the body. So there are ways, there are ways to get somebody who does something correctly to have other people do it correctly. So anyway,
is he a Knicks fan?
Yeah. He's not I actually wanted to go to the game with him yesterday, and he's so crazy that he's like, no, Dad, we're not spending a few $1,000s on tickets. I have 2 tests tomorrow. We'll watch it at home together. I was like, okay. So we won't spend a few $1,000s and we'll watch it at home.
Sounds like he's got his head on his shoulders.
He does. He's actually a Bulls fan, but the Bulls are horrible.
This was fun.
Yes. Thanks for letting us just chat back and forth while you guys hung out with us. This is like, we have to have a hangout actually with drinks and appetizers somewhere. That's
by the way, that should be. How about this is the bonus? But we gotta make sure at least 50 people join now. Mike, I'll give you your bonus. Okay. We'll do a virtual happy hour after the market closes one day, where we just talk about the market, answer any questions anybody wants, and make it like a private session, me and you, after 4:00 one day. We'll set it up. Is that good?
I think that's great. Or we go even one step further. Why don't we meet somewhere and do a happy hour for real in a place and pay for the appetizers for everybody?
At a minimum, we'll do a happy hour. I'm up for whatever they say.
I know everyone from around the world and around the country, so maybe we do a virtual, because not everyone can come. But at some point in the next, maybe before the summertime, before I go to Israel with my son for the Maccabi team, maybe a Thursday night in June, or maybe we plan it in September, which will be a little easier for everybody, once everybody's back. Well, maybe we'll definitely, Adam, we'll definitely do something in the fall together in the city, and on a Thursday night where we have some drinks and stuff. But a virtual happy hour is cool too.
All right, that's it, Mike. But we got to get at least 50 people in from now until whatever the next 30 minutes, and then we'll
see this QUBT.
We'll do that. Meanwhile, now people are asking me for the shorts. You guys have kids that you want to buy the shorts for? Mike, am I allowed to give out my short company? I wasn't trying to do that, but everyone's asking for the link for the shorts. Can I do that too? If anyone wants that, I won't even put it on.
I love how you throw it out there. So I look like the jerk if I say no. So sure, why not?
But they are.
So wait, so Mesh, I got to give you my address now
Yeah.
because you're gonna run out of shorts.
Yeah.
22.
Oh,
Everyone will get my
text
address.
me.
No,
Text me.
you guys
Don't
might
do it
show
on
up at
here.
my house.
Don't do it live on the webinar. Text me.
I know. I'm only kidding.
Yeah. That's really funny. Here, I'll do it. Whatever. It's not competitive. Only if people have kids that they want. By the way, I don't design this stuff. I just invested in it.
All right, wouldn't it be nice if this Amazon goes $1 from here? Look how
Man.
tight that is now. Go to your 5-minute charts, everyone. Look at this Amazon. Like, get the hell above this. Right? Look at the 5-minute chart on Amazon right now. It looks like it should take this out. Just held 204 the entire time. The VWAP just came back up. Should I add more? I don't want to get happy fingers. You ever get happy fingers? You just start buying and buying and buying and buying.
Of course. But you should. I found that if you're doing it on days where you're doing well, it's a good thing. Like when you're in the rhythm and you just, no matter what you do, you're seeing it clearly. It's working. Like that's for me today too. On a day where you're doing bad, you want to control those fingers.
Yeah. You don't want to,
By the way, that RR you called out, I'm up in already. That's through its highs. Maybe you were right and I was wrong.
I don't know. I don't want to get happy fingers and all of a sudden give money back either. So even though we're having so much fun.
Yeah.
Would you say Amazon resistance? Yeah, that was the prior high I was called. I actually sold into that day pretty well. So if you sold into that day pretty well, this does feel like a day one, where you would think it can get better. But anyway. All right. So are we good? It's 2:37. I hope we, taught you a little bit, or at least showed you who we are and what we do and how long we've been doing it. And at this point, I'm 52 years old. I have a feeling I have another at least 5 to 10 years in me. So I'd love to be able to help guide you through that and do it together, have some fun and make some money and just continue to, make progress. Not perfection. A lot of people like to be perfect. You don't need to be perfect to be happy. Just a little progress, little progress is what equals happiness. And you know what the other thing is, Adam?
What?
Keep promises to yourself, right? If you can't keep a promise to yourself, you're never going to keep a promise to anyone else. And they say self-esteem is built by keeping promises to yourself. Your everyday resume, my dog.
I promise myself to make sure I'm happy every day. It's not easy.
But what makes you happy?
Guy, you got to work to be it.
No, but what makes you happy? Do you know what makes you happy?
I find something every day. Every day. My kids.
Okay. You have a dog?
Of course. Yeah.
Well, the little things to make you happy. For me, I did this whole big, what's it called? We didn't, I did this, lose what you don't want into the new year. So I knew I was going to go to the Bahamas this weekend. So I put together, like a diet, no French fries, no beer, no bread on a sandwich, no chips. I was 195. I just got down to my goal, which was 177 half. I wanted to get to 177 from 195.
Wow. And you didn't need to either.
No, depends on your standard, right? What's your standard? If you want better, better things, you got to raise your standards, right? If you want to look better and not be fat daddy at the beach, or whatever it is, like, you got to figure out what you need to do to get to where you got to go. So for me, I knew cut out beer, cut out French fries, cut out chips. I still, 4 months, it's like you go out to dinner with a bunch of couples, just don't eat the bread before you eat your meal. You can have a steak, just don't eat the potatoes. You can go get a sandwich, just don't eat the French fries. Like little things you substitute, and all of a sudden, you're taking off real calories. But anyway, I just met my goal, so I'm kind of happy about that.
Scott, I love catching up with you. I always respect your game. Happy to do it in front of 3,000 people today. That was fun. And that's definitely the bonus. We'll hang out either live in person, definitely live on our own, but maybe with everyone else. And then if not, we'll do a virtual too. And
reconvene. And send me the shorts. I'll make sure Chase wears them.
Yeah. Text me. I will. I'll pick out a good one for you.
All right. Sounds awesome. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you. Let's do this. Stay friggin' discipline routine process, and you must like it. Otherwise, you're not going to do it every day. See you guys later.
All right. Bye.